Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, chapter 44, the killing of Kamsa, text 15. There's no verse, so I will read. Yurdohane vahanane mathano palepa prenkheng kanarbha ruditokshana marjanado gayanti chaina manurakta diyo shrukantyo dhanya vrajastriya urukrama chittayana. Yahu, the gopis, dohane, while milking, avahane, threshing, madhana, churning, upalepa, smearing, prenka, on swings, inkana, swinging, arbharudita, taking care of crying babies, ukshana, sprinkling, marjana, cleaning, adau, and so on. Gayanti, they sing, cha and enam, about him. Anurakta, very much attached. Dhiya, whose minds. Ashru, with tears. Kantya, whose throats. Dhanya, fortunate. Vrajastriya, the ladies of Vraja. Urukrama, of Lord Krishna. Chitta, by consciousness. Yana, whose acquisition of all desired objects. Do you want to chant it, those who have the verse? You want to chant it?
I can never do it.
Huh?
I can never do it like you.
Okay, one after another. Yodohane vahanane mathano palepa. Yodohane vahanane mathano palepa. Prenkheng kanarbha ruditokshana marjanado. Prenkheng kanarbha ruditokshana marjanado. Gayanti chaina manurakta dhiyo shrukantyo.
Gayanti chaina manurakta dhiyo shrukantyo.
Dhanya vrajastriyo rukrama chittayana.
Dhanya vrajastriyo rukrama chittayana. Yudohane vahanane matano palepa.
Yadohane vahanane madhano palepa. Prenkheng kanarva muditokshana marjanado.
Gayanti chaina manurakta dhiyo shrukantyo.
Gayanti chaina manurakta dhiyo shrukantyo.
Dhanya vrajastriya urukrama chittayana.
Dhanya vrajastriya urukrama chittayana. Yadohane vahanane madhano palepa. Prenkheng kanarvurditokshana marjanado. Gayanti chaina manurakta dhiyo shrukantyo. Dhanya vrajastriya urukrama chittayana. Translation. The ladies of Vraja are the most fortunate of women because with their minds fully attached to Krishna and their throats always choked up with tears, they constantly sing about him while milking the cows, winnowing grain, churning butter, gathering cow dung for fuel, riding on swings, taking care of their crying babies, sprinkling the ground with water, cleaning their houses, and so on. By their exalted Krishna consciousness, they automatically acquire all desirable things. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Tadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpaturubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Who is speaking here? Do you remember? The ladies? Where? In Mathura. And where they are sitting?
On the roofs. Wrestling arena.
In the arena, somewhere in the arena. And what are they seeing?
See Krishna and Balaram and Jadura and Mustika.
Already?
They are fighting.
Already they started. And so how they started their comments on the fight. Do you remember?
They didn't think it was fair.
Yes, that's the first thing. They were very disturbed. They said, how can this be? These are so young and tender boys. How can they fight with such big fighters, experienced fighters? And they said, this is adharma. And no one should stay at the place where adharma is performed, right? So you could expect that they woke up, get up and walk away. We shouldn't stay here, this is unfair, this is adharmic. But they don't. Why? We can guess, but they continue speaking. So, alas, what a great irreligious act the members of the royal assembly are committing, as the king watches this fight between the strong and the weak. They also want to see it. What comparison can there be between these two professional wrestlers with limbs as strong as lightning bolts and bodies resembling mighty mountains, and these two young, immature boys with exceedingly tender limbs? Yeah. Dharma vyatikrama. This is something which goes against dharma. Religious principles have certainly been violated in this assembly. One should not remain for even a moment in a place where irreligion is flourishing. It's very good advice. And then, a wise person should not enter an assembly if he knows the participants there are committing acts of impropriety, and if, having entered such an assembly, he fails to speak the truth, speaks falsely, or pleads ignorance, he will certainly incur sin. So this was their agitation of feeling outrageous of how this can happen. But then they were focusing their attention on Krishna and Balaram. So the mood slightly changes. Just see the lotus face of Krishna, and he, as he darts around his foe, that face covered with drops of perspiration brought on by strenuous fight resembles a lotus covered with dew. That's why they don't leave, because they are so much attracted. Don't you see the face of Lord Balaram with its eyes copper red from his anger towards Mushtika, and its beauty enhanced by his laughter and his absorption in the fight? Laughter. Enhanced by laughter. Can you imagine this two emotions? Red copper eyes from anger and laughter at the same time. It's possible for Krishna. You can be angry and laugh at the same time. It's a special laugh, and this we hear from scriptures that Nrsimhadev laughed and was very angry at the same time. It's in the 5th canto there.
It could also be a yellow laughing.
What? What kind of laughing?
A yellow laughing. When you are in anger, you're laughing, but you're laughing in anger.
What do you call it? Yellow?
Yellow laughing.
I never heard.
French, we say un sourire jaune.
Oh, okay. It's a French expression. And is there a red laughing and a yellow laughing? Just that, yellow. Yellow laughing means angry laughing. Okay. Yeah, this is a special laughing by Krishna. And he's, by this laughing, it says in the Bhagavatam, 6th canto actually, it's in part of the Narayana Kavacha. There are 2 verses for glorification of Nrsimhadev. And it's in one it says, Mahattahasam, he's laughing loudly, and by this laugh, the demons' wives, they tremble and have miscarriages. So, yeah, Balaram is laughing and is very angry at the same time. And then the women continue, how pious are the tracks of land of Vraja. They now think of Vraja. First they thought, they were describing Krishna and Balaram, their beauty, and now they think of Vraja and the inhabitants of Vraja. How pious are the tracks of land in Vraja, for they are the primeval personality of Godhead, disguising himself with human traits, wanders about, enacting his many pastimes, adorned with wonderful variegated forests, garlands, he whose feet are worshipped by Lord Shiva and Goddess Rama, vibrates his flute as he tends the cows in the company of Balaram. What austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes always, they always drink the nectar of Lord Krishna's form, which is the essence of loveliness, and is not to be equaled or surpassed. That loveliness is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. So they now enter in the mood of the gopis, and what they experience, that they always drink the form of Krishna with their eyes. So it's a special type of drinking, just looking at the beauty of Krishna, and they were drinking. And this drink enters not in the stomach, but in the heart. And they make very profound philosophical statements here, and the women of Mathura. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in the purport, actually he gives a whole conversation of someone arguing about these statements. So this is the most lovely form of the Supreme, but Narayana over here, he's the most beautiful and great in Vaikuntha. So, but no, his form is asamurdvam. It's not equal by any other avatar. No other form of the Lord is equal to that special form of Krishna. It's supreme. And it's Ananya Siddham. He has not done anything to attain it. It's always natural. And it's the abode of beauty, and it's also Ekanta Dhamma, is the source of all the opulence and all the spiritual worlds. And they say, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, well, you might say, well, they see it, but after some time, it's lovely, but after some time you see someone, okay, it's not anymore lovely. That's what we experience in this world, especially. We get enamored by a form, and then after sometimes, it's boring. I don't want to see that face anymore. Or at least, it's not exciting, at least. Maybe you want to see it, but it's not that thrill in the beginning. It's not there, right? So that's the argument. Yeah, this is lovely form, but it cannot be lovely all the time. It will fade away. And then the answer is, No, no, no. It is always fresh, and it's very rare to be seen. It's always very fresh. It's always new. So the answer was no. The loveliness, it's just ever increasing. So whoever sees Krishna, every time you see Krishna, he's more lovely. So the excitement gets increased all the time. So now, the ladies in Mathura, they say, well, the gopis are actually the most fortunate because their minds were completely attached to Krishna. Whatever they did, they remembered Krishna. And here the example of different household chores at that time in the Vaishya surroundings and culture of tending cows and domestic animals and domestic activities like winnowing grain, churning butter, gathering cow dung, and riding on swings. Can you explain how is this? A household chore, prenka inkana. Prenka inkana is the verse says. Prenka is on swings and inkana means swinging. Usually swinging is for fun, right? Huh? Doesn't mention that. Maybe. But it says here, while riding on swings, they are gathering cow dung and they are churning and they are riding on swings. So, yeah, maybe that was part of the household duties. They had a swing somewhere in their house, so they just swing for some time. Taking care of crying babies. Arba rudita. Arba means a baby, so small child. Rudita is someone who cries. So, I mean, I guess it says rudita. It's not just to fill in the meter. You know, it could have said smiling babies, not the crying. But probably crying is just that we understand that even in, it's usually when the babies cry, and if they continue crying, that gets a little annoying, and I mean, at least attracts your attention. But they didn't stop thinking of Krishna even while caring about crying babies. And they're cleaning and sprinkling water and so on. So these are all examples, but they are always thinking of Krishna. And what do? They sing, and their voices are choked by emotion and choked with tears also. They're crying and singing out of love, out of separation. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that in this way they saw Krishna all the time. They saw him because of the great attachment, and because of such strong attachment, Krishna actually appeared as Spurti or directly. So that's the Acharya's comments, and also Jiva Goswami, that they actually saw Krishna while doing these household activities. He appeared in front of them. And the other meaning of the last is Urukramachitta Yana, is that their minds were going towards Krishna, or it could be the meaning that Krishna was also very attracted and he kept them within his heart all the time. So it's reciprocal, this love. And Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita. As one surrenders, I reward or I reciprocate. And Srila Prabhupada says, in the Nectar of Devotion, Krishna, and also in the purport of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is reciprocating to the extent of the devotee's attachment to him. So, like Prabhupada said in one class, if we think of Krishna 24 hours a day, he'll think of us how many hours? 25. Yes. He'll think us more, because he can think more and feel also attracted to his part and parcels, which is inconceivable because he is self-sufficient, he doesn't need anyone. But he's attracted by this love, and he is actually irresistibly attracted by prema, by that special love, especially in Vraja. And that love conquers him. And therefore, Bhagavatam says that love conquers the unconquerable. No one can conquer the Supreme, but he is conquered by this love. And he becomes subservient. That's why it's very rare, and Krishna gives it very rarely. So, of course, you may say, well, here we have a description of devotees who have seen Krishna since they've been born, basically, and they have grown up with Krishna, and they saw him every day. And as we'll read now, that they will the gopis will go to meet him when he comes back from the forest in the late afternoon, the sunset, or they will go in the morning when he goes. And of course, we hear the description that they were also meeting him during the day in the forest. They were leaving their households on pretext of either collecting flowers or doing some worship for the demigods, for a successful family life. So anyway, they were seeing him all the time in some way or other, and then the rest of the time they can remember very easily when you see someone especially so attractive, so charming, so kind. So what about us? Sometimes these questions are asked, right? Well, we haven't seen Krishna. How can we fall in love? How can we remember? Isn't it? Any suggestions?
Purification.
So what will happen by purification?
I don't know.
That's your solution, purification. Yes? Hearing. Yes? We can see Krishna in the morning, yes. Definitely. Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has a wonderful ashtakams for the main deities of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Madan Mohan. The ashtaka is called Madan Gopal Ashtaka, and Govinda Ashtaka, and Gopinatha Ashtaka. And in Gopinatha Ashtaka, there is such a wonderful verse. Actually, the first verse, it says that everything about him is white. I guess he's describing an outfit during Purnima. Usually that's what in Vrindavan they dressed in white. So he says he has a white crown, white garlands, white clothes, and he's white in his splendor. Very beautiful verse. I don't remember it now, but it was a lot of many words and alliteration in his glorification, that he's shining and he's splendid, he's white. And then he says, in the morning arati, he says he's kissing the devotees through his smiling face. Chumbitam. So he specifically says in the arati. Devotees look at him in the arati, so by their eyes he's with his smile and his beautiful face, he's kissing the devotees. So yes, we can see him, we can remember, and that's what Prabhupada said many times, that it's so important to worship very nicely the deities and to decorate them nicely, and so that they're wonderfully beautiful and attractive. And he says, so it makes an impression in the mind. When we see them in the morning, we're so impressed. That image is and he says, all day we remember, oh, Krishna wore this and that. And sometimes devotees ask each other, what was today's outfit? What color? And did you notice anything special about the garland or something? And sometimes it's amazing how devotees remember really minute details of the decorations, or the jewels. And yes, that means that you have seen Krishna with attention. So yeah, this is one way of remembering Krishna we have seen. And we might argue, yes, but it's different when you talk with someone and actually engage in activities. It's much easier to remember. But still, yes, Krishna is, in his form of the deity, is very responsive and active if we treat him like that. If we treat him like a person, he will respond like a person. Therefore, it's the most essential ingredient in deity worship is to, whatever we do, whatever we offer, to do it with this consciousness that he is a person. And we offer, even if when we change the water and bring the water, and when we put it, what to speak of dressing and decorating, it should be with this mood of here is Krishna, directly I am serving him. And then he reciprocates, and Prabhupada said many times, then he will talk to you. So yes, the more we approach Krishna in such a way, he will respond in a similar way. And then we can remember these exchanges, like we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita many stories of devotees having exchanges with the deities. Any examples?
One time jumping off the altar.
But that was just a physical exchange. I was asking for talking. Sakshi Gopal. And yeah, these two stories were described at one moment during the travel of Lord Chaitanya and the group and Lord Nityananda. So one story was about Sakshi Gopal, and the other was story of Madhavendra Puri. So in both cases. So in the case of Madhavendra Puri, it was through dreams. He got the message, please come and take me out of the bush. I've been lying for a long time. Save me. Then, I'm feeling too hot. Bring some sandalwood pulp. Like that. So, yes, Bilva Mangala Thakur also, yes. So there are many stories like that, devotees having exchange with deities. Also in our own time, there are many devotees who have told different stories, either through dreams or some other way. There is a book about, I think, Jagannath deities, also in Rajpur, in Mayapur, also the Nrsingadev, small booklets compiled by the pujaris there, that different stories from devotees, different exchanges with the deities. So yes, this is one way, and Krishna actually says to the gopis in Bhagavatam, when they come and he tells them, actually the real way to associate with me is not by physical proximity, but by hearing, chanting and worshipping my form. So yes, by deity worship we can remember, but here the most important point is that they did it through hearing and singing, through hearing and chanting. They saw him directly through this. He manifests in this way. And of course, when he was standing in front of the gopis, they didn't like that. Yes, this is because he was saying it's better way that you come close to me and you associate with me through hearing, chanting and worshipping my form. But he said, well, we are here anyway, so why you send us? You're not so intelligent. In the middle of night, you're a young boy and we're here and you're sending us away. But he said the same thing. I think it's almost the same verse to the Yogic Brahmana wives. And they took that. Of course, there was the difference because they were Brahmanas and they couldn't do. But also, the acharyas explained that they lacked some. They couldn't reject everything like the gopis. They completely rejected the most difficult things to reject, the attachment to home and family and dharmic principles. They're ready to reject everything. But the point is that Krishna is saying something very important, that you can have a very close association with him. intimate exchanges through hearing and chanting. So the next verse says, when the gopis hear Krishna playing his flute as he leaves Vraja in the morning with his cows, or return with them at sunset, the young girls quickly come out of their houses to see him. They must have performed many pious activities to be able to see him as he walks on the road, his smiling face mercifully glancing upon them. In Yugala Gita, that's chapter 36, I think, in the 10th canto. No, 35. And so there are different verses going by pair, Yugala, and they are spoken by the gopis at different places, and some are spoken in the presence of Mother Yashoda, and the acharyas explained that this is when they were in her house, and then she was very eager, oh, Krishna is late, can you check if he's coming? So they climb to the highest, the top of there are actually towers on the palace, their houses and palace, so they climb. And I think one of the acharyas says the tallest of the gopis, then she goes to see the furthest, and then she brings the new, okay, you can tell, I can see some dust is coming, and that must be Krishna. But, and then they say in some of the verses, he's delayed. So she shouldn't worry, there's no problem, no demons, because she's always in anxiety, maybe some demon will harm my child. So no problem, he's coming, but he's delayed. Why? Anyone remembers? Yes, along the way, like we heard here. It was said Rama, Lakshmi Devi, Lord Shiva, and there it was Brahma, Shiva, other demigods. They stop him and worship, and Krishna stands and accepts the worship. So Mother Yashoda is peaceful. And then Krishna starts playing the flute and joyfully coming, and then describe what they see when he comes close. And his face is shining, and he's reddish. There is reddishness like what was the fruit? No, it was something. How? No. That's compared to the lips, but that was I forgot. That fruit is called. It's one of the last verses. Anyway, so it's the whiteness. I think we spoke about this verse. The whiteness of his face. Yeah, the brilliance. Yeah, his soft. And the beauty of his soft cheeks is accentuated by the brilliance of his golden earrings and the whiteness of his face, which has the color of a badara berry. That's a badara berry. It's badara berry. No, the whiteness of his face. The whiteness of his face. Yeah, pandu. That's badara pandu vadano mridugandam. You're puzzled how his face is white? No. Yeah, well, it's whitish pandu, but the badara fruit, which is reddish. Yes. Badara. Yeah, it doesn't say what color is, but if you check, that's badara. So it's reddish. It's green type, but then when it's ripe, it becomes reddish. But yeah, I think Vishwanath Thakur explains that it's unripe badara fruit, so he's actually pale. That's the whole description. He's a little bit pale, although his cheeks are also reddish from his, walking and dancing. They dance when they walk. But the whiteness is from his tiredness. One explanation, that the whole day they were playing all day and tending the cows, but also it could mean that he was pale from his longing and separation from the gopis.
It's also mentioned that because of the dust is all day out in the dust.
The dust is another thing. So yes, he's covered with the dust.
So he's flushing, it's because of excitement, but also it's covered with
It's
dust.
covered with the dust. So yeah, a lot of descriptions how we can paint, his beautiful face. So they saw him when he returns at sunset and when he goes in the morning. And the Mathura women, they explain, oh, how pious these gopis are, to be able to see his smiling face, who mercifully glances upon them. That's also described. That when he goes away, he looks at them to pacify them. No, we'll meet very soon. And when he comes back, he also looks at each of the gopis, because there are different houses, so he looks at each of them specifically, and he personally reciprocates. The next verse, that was the end of their beautiful expressions. Shukadeva Goswami continued, as the women spoke thus, O hero of the Bharatas, Lord Krishna, the master of all mystic power, made up his mind to kill his opponent. Out of affection for the two lords, their parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, became overwhelmed with sorrow when they heard the women's fearful statements. They grieved, not knowing their son's strength. Purport. Naturally, Krishna's parent would lament in this situation, thinking, why didn't we keep our sons at home? Why did we allow them to participate in this corrupt exhibition? So, here in the purport to the verse when Shukadeva Goswami explains, Krishna made up his mind to kill the opponent. Why? Why exactly this moment? As the women spoke, the master of all mystic power made up his mind. So the acharyas explain, well, he heard what you're talking, he heard how distressed they were. They were in pain, so he said, I cannot give them such a pain to these ladies. I have to quickly finish, because they're suffering. And he heard them because he is the master of all mystic power. He can hear everyone, even if it's far away, and he's engaged in fighting. And then, of course, Vasudeva and Devaki, they were very disturbed and they were lamenting, although they know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, right? They saw him as Narayan when he was born, so they know he has unlimited power. But at this moment, they are just overwhelmed by their special love of Vatsalya Rati. And when this is dominating, then the awareness of Aishwarya, that he is God and he's safe, no problem. They just become worried, and then they start lamenting and accusing themselves. It's our fault. We should have kept them at home. How can we allow them to participate in this? And similar statements are there about Mother Yashoda when Krishna left, and it says that in Hamsadutta, the description of Rupa Goswami, then how the residents of Vrindavana are barely surviving from the pain of separation. So Mother Yashoda was, her kitchen was like really unattractive place with cobwebs and spider webs, whatever it's called. Like it was. I mean, the description was really painful, and she was just very thin and crying all day, and from time to time going to Nanda Maharaj and accusing him. Why did you allow Krishna to leave? How can you do that? How can we live now? You should have married him to keep him here. So these are natural expressions of love. And although it's a painful expression and painful emotion, it's not the same as the material pain. It's still blissful because it's a spiritual emotion and it brings Krishna very close to the heart. Actually, Prabhupada says in one purport that these pangs, strong pain in separation, make Krishna appear and be even more present than his personal presence. So, yeah, that was the last verse we're supposed to read, I think, with the purport. Any comments or questions so far? Yes, Paul.
So, related to your remark that you might not have any experience like the gopis had. They were there when Krishna was born and their attraction for Krishna was natural. Hare Krishna. So related to, in our situation it's different than the gopis because we have never seen Krishna, right? This discussion. So the ladies of Mathura, they also had never seen Krishna, they only heard about Krishna. So, because they were hearing so many rumors, well, Krishna was still in Vrindavan, they heard so many rumors about Krishna, so they became attracted to Krishna. And then, because of that attraction, the moment that they saw Krishna for the first time, it fully blossomed their love. So similarly, if we combine the strong hearing with coming to see Krishna during artis, that's the very powerful combination. Without hearing, you will not be able to appreciate Krishna on the altar. And it's just like Bhaktisiddhanta one time said while he was giving a discourse in Vrindavan, then the conch shell blew, and then some disciples stood up to go for darshan. And when they came back from the darshan and sat down again to listen to Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktisiddhanta stopped and he said, "So how was your eye exercise?" In other words, what can you, if you walk away from Guru who's speaking about Krishna, what will you see? There's nothing to see if you don't hear. Similarly, that was also the difference between the Brahmanas and the wives of the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas had no time to hear about Krishna. The Brahmanas' wives, they were on the market and they heard about Krishna from the gopis who were selling things to the Brahmanas' wives. So by hearing, as soon as they heard Krishna is there, they start running towards Krishna. So that's some evidences why hearing is seeing. Well, seeing is not seeing, is eye exercise.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the comment. Yeah, there are other stories also about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur during Parikrama. They left, or maybe it's the same but in different way. They left to see, this was in Vrajamandala Parikrama, they went to see Sheshashaya, special form of, and then most of them they left to go to see, and he was commenting, what would they see? And one time he also was for darshan in the mat to see Gandharvika and Giridhari, and the devotee noticed that he didn't have his glasses, so he was Guru Maharaj, I should bring your glasses. He said, do you think that you see the deities with your eyes? In other words, it's not necessarily the physical, that type of physical, but still for us we appreciate to also be able to see them. Right? But the hearing is first. So better we use glasses if you don't see them clearly, right?
That's why the monkeys take the glasses. Huh? That's why the monkeys take the glasses from everybody.
Only in some places they still. Yeah. Are you hearing enough or you're pretending? Just, yeah. Yeah, this is called Purvaraga. It's called attraction or love before seeing. And it can develop. I mean, even in the mature world, people fall in love with a hero or heroine from a book or from a movie. They can develop something just by hearing, especially from a book. Okay, movie, you can see you've seen someone, but you're reading about some character and you become attracted. You fall in love. You develop real feelings, right? And it's a phenomenon just by hearing. So that's possible, definitely for Krishna, but then it's not just imagination, it's real. That feeling is real, that remembrance is real, and Krishna appears in the mind. And then there is purti, and when the devotee matures in the stage of bhava, you see directly his transcendental form with transcendental eyes. But yes, it was through hearing these ladies were attracted, or the Brahmana wives, the wives of the Brahmanas, they haven't seen him. These here, they see him, but they haven't seen him, they just heard about him. So they run towards, and it's very powerful. We can be also very attractive. But we have to hear that type of gossip, as you said. There's so much gossip around. We have to be very careful to pick up the right gossip. Yes? Yeah.
I was wondering if this is the same psychology of, that first you hear and you believe more, that first, if you first hear and then you see. Because we were speaking about Shava some days ago, and then it was saying that he had this, by mystic powers, he sent, like, there was a messenger coming and saying that, your parents were captured, and then after he came with the image of his father, and then he cut off his head, so-called. But I thought maybe this is kind of psychology that people know that first if you hear and then you see, then you believe, but if you only see, you don't believe, but if you hear and see, you believe more. No, but I mean, I'm just speaking about Shava, how he was first showing, first there was a messenger saying that, your parents were captured, and then after he showed it, so I don't know if it is the same.
Yeah, I guess
he used that trick or whatever,
Possibly, yeah. Yeah. Yes? Oh, okay.
I was thinking about maybe we are not able to see Krishna when we come in front of him, but he can see us. So that's also a nice way of coming.
Yes.
And especially if he wants to kiss us. He sees us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite intimate. I didn't really. It's nice to learn those Gopinath Astakam.
Gopinath Ashtakam.
Because our Gopinath is so beautiful white, and he's coming to kiss us.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right there. So in that sense, because if Krishna sees us, he glances us over us, and the rest will come automatically. We want to hear more, we want to chant more, we want to see him more.
Yeah, actually in this story, I think also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said it's more important than Krishna sees us. So that's why you also go for darshan, that we are seeing. Mataji?
Is the hearing and the reading on the same level or not?
Hearing and reading? Yeah. Reading is subtle hearing in the mind. But the whole point is your attention. Sometimes we might sit for hearing, but we are somewhere else. Or we might read even. You read the whole page and what was it about?
And remembering also.
Yeah. Yes?
I'm just hearing how, hearing you're saying the kissing and then kisses, and then there's another kind of reference about Krishna's being Cupid, and he's shooting us with thousands of arrows, of Cupid arrows, as in he's he's always shooting at us. And I don't know, have you heard the context more around that? Have you heard that before?
I can't
This
remember
comparison? No.
exactly.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he's also shooting through his glance.
Yeah, so I mean, with that, I guess what comes up for me is like he's sending our way so much, you know, love and yeah, it seems when I heard that, it was this morning that I heard that in a lecture, the Cupid, the arrows, and then now this. And
Yeah, I mean, it's in our Diksha mantras, the last one, that's what we say, basically, those who initiate. They say, as we say 3 times a day, he's 3 times we call him Kamadeva, Ananga.
it was in context.
Yeah, so, and there the Pushpabana, that's the special arrows of his beauty, his loveliness, what we heard. So yeah, when we meditate as Krishna being transcendental Kamadev. But we must desire him to be, we have to be open to be, otherwise we come and he's just sitting there. We must be perceptive to receive these arrows. Yes?
Darshan means also hearing. Which is the difference, darshan, between seeing and darshan between hearing?
Is there a difference?
Yes? I don't know. I'm asking.
No, Krishna is absolute. It's the quality of the darshan. Whether hearing or seeing is the same. If Krishna manifests, you have full experience of Krishna. Either through sound, through form. Anyway, if he is present, he is present. So therefore, we are advised, that's the most important part when we chant or we serve the deity, that we are present. We catch that presence of Krishna in his form, either as the sound form or a deity or archa form. We are in that presence. Otherwise, we can do mechanical. And it's not neither darshan with sound nor with eyes. Yeah, Prabhupada said, we can do arati in the altar and think of sex life. Then you are not there, you don't see definite, you don't see that there is no darshan. I mean, you see, but it's kind of, okay, I'm doing something. And we can chant and think of all kinds of things also. So, if, we chant carefully in a proper mood, then it's becoming more and more possible to catch that presence. Yes.
I thank you for your lecture. I wanted to share, I was reading a book, maybe you already read it, Experiences in Bhakti by, I can't remember his name. And there he was talking about, I wrote it down, like that there are certain laws in Bhakti, and one is the law of gravitation, because Bhakti attracts Krishna, and then the law of reciprocation, because Bhagavan reciprocates the bhava of the devotee, the law of subjugation, because Bhakti subjugates God, and the love of unification, that Bhakti unites Bhakta and Bhagavan. And then he gave like practical examples of it. And I liked how, when he was explaining, he said that we first hear, and then just like the gopis, we develop, or anyone else who hears about Krishna, we develop certain desires towards the Lord, and then automatically, when we develop the desires, the Lord also develops the same desire, because he wants to fulfill the desire, because he wants to enjoy what we want to offer to him. And then the author gives many examples of how then Krishna manifests usually as a deity, because he wants to accept I don't know, that we take care of him, that we offer him this or that, and therefore he enjoys. And even though he's like full in himself, because he's transcendental and whatever, what all of this that we know from the scriptures, still he puts himself, like his yoga maya, puts himself put himself in this illusion that he's really hungry, that he really feels hunger, that he really feels thirst, that he's really cold when it's cold outside, or that he really feels hot. So I found that so amazing, that he really feels that because he wants this reciprocation with the devotee. So that's quite wonderful. And it's in the line of what you have been speaking, and how it's all connected, actually.
Yes, thank you for sharing this. Yeah, Krishna is so amazing. He can feel hungry, and if you don't feed him, he may be upset. And also Krishna manifests in different forms, and in these particular forms you have specific exchanges with devotees, different relationship according to the mood of that manifestation, that particular form, and how devotees. I just remembered, this story. Probably you heard it because we spoke that there are stories in nowadays of devotees having some exchanges with deities. I mentioned Rajpurs, the deities there. You are so wonderful, of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Devi, very special, and so there are many stories with them that they like to have bargains with devotees. So you go and promise, I will give you this, and please fulfill my desire. Okay. So, there are many stories of different requests. I think there was kind of miracles, and somebody blind starts to see. And for a small, you don't really offer something big, but just, I'll give you something, and then Jagannath reciprocates. And then there was one Muslim who got Mahaprasadam from Jagannath, from his friend who just got some Maha from the deities, and said, hey, please take it. So he threw it. I don't want from you. Whatever. He was like, I don't want this. This contaminated. So he just was very. And the next day, this is what the Pujari said. This what he told them. It was a Muslim came who was begging, please give me Maha. And I said, okay, but not from today, from yesterday. Why? What happened? Oh, I have this experience. I was offered. I threw it, and I had this dream. And he was not in front of the deities. He never saw them. He never went in the temple. He just heard. There's a Hindu temple. It's idolatry, whatever. And then he said, I had this huge white person, white, with huge, and he started beating me, beating me. I was like, I was suffering so much. And then there was a lady who was watching, and she was just smiling, and she was saying, kill him. and he was beating me more. And there was a black also, a blackish person, and he was laughing also. And he said, okay, leave him alone. So please bring me that Mahaprasad. I want to eat. I will never reject it. But what I wanted to tell was that at one point they brought Govardhana Shiva, to be worshipped also there. So after some time, the Pujari had a dream, and Jagannath complained, since you brought him here, this Giriraj, we are hungry, we're starving, we don't get any food, because you bring the offering, and even before when you uncover it, and immediately he takes everything, he swallows it. So we don't get any chance to eat anything. We're hungry, how can you? So that Pujari told that to Jayapataka Maharaj, and then he said, okay, so from now on, 2 plates. One from Giriraj, one from Jagannath. So they have separate plates, and Giriraj, don't touch the other one. Okay, anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.